Oh my gosh! We're gonna finish. I miscalculated, and this next section, it's just 8 pages till we're done, so it shouldn't take that much time at all. They are really wrapping things up. Let's see. Let's see what happens with the police now. Felicity stood up. It was me, Felicity lied. I went to the roof, and I used Shenanigan's torch, and I called them. A groan rippled through the room. Shenanigan was still hovering half out of her seat, and Daisy had a look of confusion on her face. But Felicity shook her head minutely at them both. No. After I specifically told you not to, cried Aunt Schadenfreude. Yes. Felicity's chin was raised in defiance. She looked around at her family. No one was telling her to shut up now. People were at last listening to what she had to say. We aren't better than anyone else, Felicity said. You all keep talking about how special Swifts are, how the rules don't apply to us. Candor believed that, and he did awful things. And then we turned around and only punished him for what he did to the family, and not to Daisy or any of the other people he swindled. If we let him out into the world, how long will it be before he finds someone else to cheat and manipulate and hurt? They might not be Swifts, but there'll be someone. Aunt Schadenfreude, you know I'm right. Aunt Schadenfreude looked devastated. I forbade this, she said, not as your aunt, but as the matriarch. My word was law. Her fingers touched the discarded iron collar by her plate. Fine then, Felicity didn't cry. Do what you have to do. Kick me out, take my name badge, whatever. Daisy and Flora started shouting, and Aunt Inheritance started shouting, and Shenanigan climbed on the table as if to have the tactical shouting advantage, and Fauna began to bang the lectern on the head to be heard over the din. Excuse me. Could everyone, please be quiet and sit down? She smiled at Felicity. I haven't finished my speech. Felicity sat. Shenanigan took her hand under the table and squeezed it tight. I was going to say we should do things differently. Well, let's start now. Felicity, no one's kicking you out over one mistake. I don't even believe you made a mistake in the first place. You did what you thought was right, regardless of the consequences. Fauna winked at Shenanigan, and Shenanigan knew she'd been rumbled. I'm dissolving the decree of the previous matriarch, which I can do, she said, raising her eyebrows at Inheritance as if daring her to contradict. Felicity, you won't be punished. Also, Fauna winced, we are going to cooperate with the police, to an extent at least. I don't want to see Candor back out in the world any more than Felicity does. Someone had better fetch him from the freezer. The rest of you, figure out what you're going to say when the police arrive. Fauna sat down. Aunt Schadenfreude gave her a look that would be inscrutable to most people, but that Shenanigan knew was reluctant approval. That was a relief. As matriarch, Fauna would be living with them at the house now, after all. She wondered what role she'd play in Aunt Schadenfreude's funeral rehearsals. In twos and threes, people left the dining room, some muttering furiously about standards and traditions, others commenting that perhaps, maybe, possibly, in extreme and trying circumstances, change might be quite good. Well, said Atrocious, sidling up to Shenanigan, here come the coppers, and you thought Gumshoe was bad, she shuddered. At least they can't make the place any more of a mess. The house will be fine. We'll fix it up when they're gone, Shenanigan said defensively. You will not. A team of highly skilled contractors and conservationists will fix it, Atrocious corrected. That's what I'm paying them for. At Shenanigan's astonished look, she laughed. Don't look so surprised. The millions over there offered, but Schadenfreude wouldn't take her money. It's the principle of the thing. The house is our responsibility. It ought to be a Swift who pays. I agreed to foot the bill for the repairs and upkeep on one condition. She pointed with an elegant finger through the window and the grounds to the splinter of Vile's monument. That thing comes down. Shenanigans stared hard at Atrocious. This was the last thing she had expected. But why? Atrocious shrugged. Why does anyone do anything? I don't understand you, said Shenanigan. I should hope not. Atrocious nodded to her. I will be watching your career with interest, Shenanigan Swift. Shenanigan waited. We didn't expect that, huh? Because Atrocious was one of the ones she didn't like. She must be independently wealthy. Shenanigan waited until her sister had finished a conversation with Daisy, an intense, animated affair that left Felicity beaming before approaching. I'm making a promise, she said solemnly. From now on, no rats in your bed, no more pranks, no more making fun of the things you like. I'm sorry I ever said that you were boring or a traitor. Felicity rolled her eyes. If you stop doing all those things, how am I supposed to recognize you? I'll settle for no rats, thanks. She spat on her hand and shook Shenanigans. Ugh, that's disgusting. She wiped her hand on Shenanigan's shirt. Have I missed something? Asked Phenomena, warily eyeing the two of them as if she were expecting a fight to break out. She had finally torn herself away from the eek to grab what looked like a slice of toast with porridge spread on it. Lots, said Felicity crisply. But actually, Phenomena, I've got something here I've been waiting to show you. She pulled a notebook from her pocket. Voila! The last thing contained the final, nonsensical words from the eek, organized by someone with a talent for anagrams. Cat, dishonor, renderer. Centuries, hoard, murderer. Certain, hours, murder. And then circled was, Candor is the murderer. Phenomena struck the end of the ponytail in her mouth. No, she said absolutely, flatly. Absolutely not. This is... Nope. There are thousands of possible letter combinations. There's no reason to believe. Felicity hummed in amusement. Yes, you're right. It could have been saying, she squinted at the page, Adderhum resurrection or horrid center resumed. Perhaps mushier carrot endured. A bit of strange coincidence, though. Yes, coincidence, said Phenomena, but she looked unsure. And, added Shenanigan, delighted, it did say we'd better off asking the cat who the murderer was, and John the cat was an important witness. He even scratched Candor. Phenomena looked as if her entire world had been picked up, turned upside down, and shaken for loose change. Felicity smiled. Well, this has been fun. But Daisy told me she's thinking of moving to Paris, and I'm welcome to visit. Since it might only take her a few weeks to find an apartment, I'd better start packing now. Shenanigan watched her sister skip off to her room. Felicity would thrive in Paris. Her French was impeccable, or so Shenanigan supposed, as she'd never bothered to learn a word of it. There was a clatter as Cook knocked over the coffee pot, and Inheritance shrieked, grabbed the dictionary out of its dark paper-staining path. Then Inheritance screamed again, almost dropping the dictionary into Schadenfreude's chair with an exclamation of horror. My gloves! I'm not wearing my gloves! Oh, the natural oils on my skin are sure to mar the paper and... She ran from the room. Shenanigan approached the dictionary. The eek had been right about John the cat. He had told them the identity of the murderer, in a roundabout way at least. But what about the third message, the one about the hoard? For all Phenomena's antipathy toward hunches, Shenanigan wanted to follow this one. She had been thinking about Cantrip's poem and about what endures. She opened the dictionary without gloves, because despite everything, she was still Shenanigan, and flipped through. Words flew past in scrawled handwriting, in rough, crooked print, in neat typeface, on vellum, on parchment, on paper. She flipped past gimble and fractious and flibberty-gibbet, karst and mellifluent and porcine, until she found the entry she was looking for. It was old, one of the original entries from, say, Grand Uncle Vile's time. House, noun, a place of abode, a dwelling. Family, royal, or of noble lineage. The Eek had said to look under house. That could mean look under the house in the foundations. It could mean look under house beneath the gravestone in the cellar. Or it could mean a third thing. Shenanigan tore out the page and held it up to the window. Light streamed through the thin paper. Buried among the type, winding their ways through the definitions, were faint lines, the ghosts of rooms. It was a map of the whole Swift estate, and in the middle of the paper, right under noun, was an X. Mark well the well-marked meaning of our days, Cantrip had said. Look under house, the ghost had said. Cantrip, Randrup, Swift, said the signature, scrawled faintly on the page. It really was silly to think that with so many Swifts hunting for the hoard for so many years, no one had ever found it. Grand Uncle Vile didn't seem to have been very clever after all, but his sister was. More important, she had loved her family. Shenanigan took out her own map and started walking. There was no tower back in Vile's day, no conservatory. There were stables and an arboretum and a folly, all of which had long since been demolished or rotted away, replaced with new embellishments. A hedge maze, a Scrabble pitch. Things changed because things always do. The great oak tree that had flourished when 3 siblings were young had been cut down, reduced to a stump. Shenanigan walked through the ghost of the house that was and out of the house that is onto the grounds. The noise of the sirens grew louder. Shenanigan followed the map until her feet hit wooden boards, and then she stopped. There also hadn't been a lake in Vile's days. Cantrip had put it there. She had cut down the oak to make room for it, hacking down the family tree as brother had hacked down brother. But as you seek your pocket full of crowns, recall the poor man floats, the rich one drowns. Cantrip had seen what wealth could do to her family. Of course, she wouldn't want the treasure found. Greed could tear them apart as it had before. But as long as the hoard remained lost, the lure of it would always draw the Swifts together, decade after decade, to search. Cantrip had hidden the treasure where fitting in a place where the more gold you tried to carry, the more it would weigh you down. Shenanigan took off her shoes and socks, rolled up her trouser leg, and let her feet dangle over the edge of the pier. The police were crunching their way down the drive, moving slowly past the other cars. The outside world would be here soon, and Shenanigan didn't know what it would bring. She stared into the lake. She could tell Aunt Schadenfreude what she had found, or Aunt Inheritance, who would be over the moon at their recovered history. She could tell Fauna, who was also so kind and selfless that she would probably donate it to a good cause. Or Harry Houdini had been able to hold his breath for over 3 minutes. With practice, Shenanigan was sure she could match that. No one would think it was strange if she took up swimming. She wouldn't have to tell anyone what she was really doing, not even Uncle Maelstrom. She could dive down and take the treasure for herself, piece by piece, and hoard it until she was old enough to steal away, a real pirate at last. The Shenanigan from a few days ago would have done exactly that. But things change. This Shenanigan was several days older. Morally gangly Shenanigan wasn't so sure. And if she could become so different in only a few days, what would the Shenanigan of next month decide, or next year? Uncle Maelstrom and the others were putting away their fishing rods. The police were at the front door. Shenanigan tore the page into little pieces and scattered them on the lake. Then she picked up her shoes and socks and headed back to the house. She didn't have to make her decision right now. She would wait and see who she grew into. The end. I kind of love it. She's the only one who knows that it's at the bottom of the lake. And she's smart enough to know she's changing as a person. And she has to make a lot of decisions as she changes, as she becomes who she's supposed to be. I love this story. There are other Swift stories. This is just the first one. I believe there's a follow-up. But I hope you loved it as much as I did on your 9th birthday gift. Love you so much. I'll see you in the summer. Until then, keep on smiling. I love you.